Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Abby. I am the College Outreach Coordinator and Newsletter Editor at Biodiversity for Livable Climate, and I'm very excited to introduce you to Daniel, who is a member of the Roots and Shoots National Youth Leadership Council. Roots and Shoots is a program of the Jane Goodall Institute, and he is a youth leader doing incredible work in his community, and we are very excited to share that with you. So I'm going to introduce Daniel by reading his bio, and then we're going to dive into a conversation where he'll share a bit about his projects that he does in his community. So Daniel is a passionate advocate for nature to help improve environmental conditions through nature's own intelligence. And as a youth leader with Jane Goodall's Roots and Shoots program, Daniel has planted over 100 trees and witnessed how disadvantaged neighborhoods can start a transformation in one day. He's initiated a community soil making program in his neighborhood and discovered that the foundational key to rebuilding soil is plant diversity. His newest project with mushrooms, which he'll be sharing with us, Mycelium Magic, has revealed an underground universe that supports planetary life and has world-changing impacts that are ready to be greenlighted on a global scale. Daniel aspires to help others become participants in these amazing evolutionary solutions, and his enthusiasm and leadership has been honored by organizations such as Bioneers, California Safe Schools, South Coast Air Quality Management District, and Prudential Spirit of Community Awards. So, Daniel, we're very excited to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Would you like to give an introduction to what Roots and Shoots is?
Yeah. So Roots and Shoots is it's just the most amazing, organization that Jane Goodall started. And it was just because, she wanted kids to get involved in the environment. Kids like me, kids from Africa, kids from everywhere. She wanted kids to be inspired to do great work for the environment. And she did a really great job with it because it's just the best. And the council's amazing. It's some of the best kids in the country who are inspiring everybody, and we all come together and we make friends and we share our work and we continue to inspire, and it's the best. It just really is amazing.
Awesome. Thank you for that introduction. And so how did you get involved with Roots and Shoots and then the National Youth Leadership Council?
Yeah, so funny enough, my mom actually got me involved. So I was actually switching schools. I think I was going to the sixth grade. Yeah, the sixth grade. And I was going to this school in Pasadena, California I didn't end up going there, but they had a requirement that you did a project to help the environment, which was totally unique to me because I always loved nature, but I had never done any projects to help the environment. And my mom found out about Roots and Shoots because I had been a big fan of Jane Goodall since I was little. And she was like, you should try out their $200 mini grant that they do for a project that you want to do, and it'll help you get into the school and it'll just work great. So that's how I found out about it, and I applied for a mini grant, and I got it for the tree project, which was my first project, planting trees. And that's how I got into it, and I got the grant and started the project with my first project.
That's amazing, Daniel. One of the questions I wanted to ask you was, so Roots and Shoots has a list of compassionate leadership traits, which I believe are 9 traits that are found in all different types of leaders with different leadership styles. And so I was wondering if you could share which 2 compassionate leadership traits you most identify with as a leader in your community.
Yeah, I think I'm very good at I think I'm pretty good when stuff comes my way. I'm able to, beat adversity and kind of keep going. And I'm very good. I'm very good. I feel like I'm pretty good when people need inspiration in bringing people together to work on a project. I think those 2 things I feel I'm pretty great at, because it's easy for me to get with people and get them inspired and get them started on a project, and everyone's excited and just motivation, and then when stuff comes, help people get through it.
Mm-hmm. Those are 2 super important traits to have as a leader.
Thank you.
So, yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that you're really good at something, because it's important to recognize what your strengths are. And I think that's one of the great things about like compassionate leadership traits activity is that it helps young people kind of identify what they're stronger at. And yeah, I think it's a really important thing for developing leadership.
Yeah.
So this part I'm super excited for. Can you share with us about your project, Mycelium Magic, and yeah, tell us how it started, how it's going. Love to hear all about it.
Yeah, well, sure. So I think I would say it all started with my first $200 mini grant, which I was talking about, which is I got it for planting trees, and it all kind of built to what it is now. So I started with trees, and I just thought it was really simple, and I wanted to plant trees around my neighborhood because I love trees and they're very important for the environment. And I got with this group called Tree People, which is in Los Angeles, and they actually provide 7 free trees for every home in the area, which is incredible. So I would go and I would try and pitch to people, what they offer with the 7 free trees and what it can do and all this stuff. And of course, people were like, "Oh, free trees? I don't want to plant free trees." I was like, "Come on, free trees." I don't want to. So you had to get them into it. So, there's stuff like it improves property value. And they were like, "Oh, that's great." And so they got into that. And then it creates just a sanctuary. Trees are so special. So I think I got 5 or 6 neighbors involved at first. Of course it grew. And then I did tree plantings, and all these like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts showed up, and I was like, "Where'd you guys come from?" And they heard about it through Tree People. And then I sent out newsletters, and that was the first step, that first project. And then that was, I was able to plant 100 trees, and that was great. And then I wanted to kind of move on, which led to my second project, which was making soil. And I found out about this organization called Making Soil, and how soil it starts below the tree, and it's what makes a tree grow, and that's the kind of the root of it. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. I can make soil and make compost with my neighbors. And I got my neighbors involved, and they were into it. They're like, "Soil, great," and they'd give their compost and we'd make it happen. And we were planting gardens, but I still kind of felt it wasn't really like the peak of what I could do. And then I found out about Paul Stamets, who's a huge inspiration, the maestro of mushrooms. He's just the best. Paul is amazing. And so I watched his TED Talk. I was like, whoa, like this is mushrooms, and it involves all the stuff I had been working on, but on a greater scale, because mushrooms have so many, beneficial, entities for the earth. And I was like, this is awesome. I love mushrooms. And he told all these great stories, and his story is amazing. And so I was like, this is great. I'm going to order some mushrooms and start small. And that's what I did. I ordered mushrooms, and they came, and I planted them, and it was easy. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And it did so much. And what was incredible is I had this dead tree on by my house, and I took the mushrooms, and I just planted them by the tree, and plants grew from the dead tree. I was like, whoa, this is great. And is exactly what he talked about in his TED Talk. He said that mushrooms what they can do is they can have plants come from a dead tree. I was like, this is amazing. And when someone says it, you're like, that's great. But then when you actually see it happen, it's super motivating. And I got into it, and then I was like, how can I get this on a bigger scale? So I got neighbors involved, and I ordered them mushrooms, and then we were able to grow mushrooms from the mushrooms. So we didn't have to order them, and it created this great system. And then we cooked the mushrooms because they're edible mushrooms that are super delicious. And that was a blast. And then I really got into the 3 huge things that mushrooms can do that are on a massive scale, not just in my neighborhood, but for the earth. And there's some pretty crazy things they can do. Like they can clean up oil spills, which is unbelievable. That's such a crazy statement. I didn't even think that was possible, but they actually do it. And they're able to soak up the soil and create a life zone, because that's kind of their special skill. They can create life out of death, which is pretty amazing. And I was like, wow, look at this. And Paul Stamets, he did all these studies where he'd bring mushrooms to an oil spill zone, and he would have competitions with these other scientists where they bring their tests and their solutions to the oil spill, and his would always finish fastest and completely clean up the oil. They're like, who's this guy? How do you do that? And mushrooms is how he did it. And that was super inspiring. And then I just wanted to share what mushrooms can do and try and grow more mushrooms and create a mushroom project. So that's what I did. And then where it is now, it's definitely growing. I mean, I'm trying to get more places to share about it, and, just inspire kids, and also, getting mushrooms into a greater area around Los Angeles, not just my own personal neighborhood.
Yeah, that is absolutely remarkable. So thank you for sharing all of that. It's a really important project, I think, because like you said, mushrooms have so many capabilities and have such an important role in ecosystems that it's important to spread the word and help educate people about, the power that mushrooms have, and then
Yeah,
also implement them. Like you said, it's really awesome to be able to hear about it, for one thing, like you said, through the TED Talk, but then to be able to actually see the power of mushrooms at work is
yeah.
really awesome. So that is a fantastic project. I was wondering, is there anything about mushrooms that you've learned through these projects that particularly strikes you, or is there any kind of element of hope that you get from learning about mushrooms that really stands out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the greatest thing, even it does all these amazing things like the oil spills, and it helps, can save bees and all this stuff. But the biggest thing I think that is incredible is it actually is able to, mushrooms are able to control pests. So for instance, not like house pests, but pests for crops. So mushrooms could, totally eliminate pesticides on crops, which is like huge for an environmental standpoint. I was like, wow, that's amazing that it can do that. And it can, and it's unbelievable. And they did, Paul, of course, he had a study at Washington University, and that's where they were able to get a patent that mushrooms could completely replace pesticides on crops, which is, would be massive for the environment and food in general. And that was super motivating and inspiring, and gave me a bunch of hope. I was like, because, pesticides create so much pollution and a lot of problems for the earth. So fixing that is ginormous. So that was really exciting to see that he was doing that.
Yeah, I had never heard about that before. And
Yeah,
that
it's
makes me
amazing.
so hopeful. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is absolutely amazing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, kind of going off of that, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, one of my last questions is just, something we talk about, you talk about it at Roots and Shoots with, different projects that people do and hear about climate. Climate change is a really heavy topic. And when you're doing work, like community service projects and learning about environmental issues, you also learn a lot about, the negative things that are happening, and that can really weigh on people. And so I was wondering what kind of keeps you inspired, and what helps keep your passion burning? Like, what motivates you to keep doing the work that you're doing?
Yeah, totally. I see it, when I learn about climate change, it can definitely get on you. You're like, oh man, how are we gonna fix this? But I get to walk outside and it's so beautiful outside, which is, I know I even forget that. It's gorgeous out. It is. And if I watch like, if you can watch footage of like the most beautiful places in the world, it's like, wow, you forget that the world is totally, I mean, it's just so beautiful, and there is so much nature. Of course, we have to take care of it before the nature goes. And what keeps me inspired is I can walk outside and I can, breathe this fresh air and be in nature, and there's nature nearby. And but that's not for everybody. So it keeps me inspired that I want everybody to be able to experience, a fresh, you taking a deep breath of fresh air and seeing beautiful nature everywhere, and keeping the world as beautiful as I think it is. So that keeps me going.
That's really beautiful, Daniel. Thank you. I think
Yeah,
that's a wonderful reminder, especially just a reminder to like go outside and be with nature and remember that it's always there and is a huge source of hope and healing and relaxation. So thank you for sharing that.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and this was a wonderful conversation. I really
Amazing. Thank you.
loved I loved getting to hear about your project and your journey with Roots and Shoots, and it's incredibly inspiring to me. And I have a feeling it will be for everyone who's watching this as well. So thank you for taking the time to do this.
Oh, of course. Thank you. It was my pleasure. It was great. Thank you.